And we say good evening to you. Welcome. We are live at Champion Chevrolet for the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. I'm your host, Tom Taylor. Again, our co-host out on the road tonight. We'll check in with us by phone because he's at the basketball jamboree, and that's going on starting as we speak in Elizabethton High School. So we'll tell you all about that coming up in a few minutes. But this is college football and high school football preview show. And we're going to be joined later on in the show by Joe Avento, the preview of the East Tennessee State at Sanford football game. Chris McCall will preview the Hokies on the road at Georgia Tech. Tough ball game coming up Saturday. That triple option, we'll talk with him about that. Kevin Harmon joins us. He'll give us the Tennessee-Missouri preview coming up on Saturday, 7:30 kickoff from Columbia. And also we'll have Dave Angie on the phone coming up a little bit later on. Andy Dietrich joins us, the co-owner of Champion Chevrolet, coming up here in a little while. But our first guest, we've kind of rearranged. We shuffled the lineup, if you will. We'll bring the big guy in here to get it all started, and he would be our buddy, again, Carmichael, with the top 5 college football games of the week, and we always look forward to seeing him come and hang out with us and tell us just exactly what's going on with that. So let's get me off the camera, get him on the camera, and boom, there he is. And good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine on this Chamber of Commerce Thursday afternoon here in East Tennessee in mid-November.
It is nice.
It is wonderful. I mean, beautiful. The clouds have finally left. The sun's out. It's gorgeous, beautiful sunset. So wonderful weekend. More big college football games coming up. Big college football games for playoff implications coming this weekend.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a second. I do want to say we did not do the show today because we were out, and we had the little person out with a field trip to the Appalachian Caverns. Pretty cool place. So if you ever get a chance to check it out, Appalachian Caverns, that was nice, and had a good time, and all the kids enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it. Never been down in there. It's pretty. Cavern's a cavern, but it had a lot of historical significance to it that I didn't know about. It's up near the Speedway in Blountville, so between Blountville and Bristol. So good time had by Appalachian Caverns by us. And so we didn't do a show today for that reason. Back in the saddle tomorrow with a full show again. And so we'll tell you all about the guests coming up here in just a few minutes. Carmichael, before we get into the ball games, you got the top 5 of the week. A lot of rumblings today. I read they got stories where Kevin Sumlin may be gone. We've got stories the Mad Hatter, Les Miles, maybe looking at Oregon State. We've got a story here about Gary Patterson felt snubbed the way he was treated in the interview with the Tennessee Volunteers a couple of years back. So hit some of those for me.
Little Mikey Hamilton, that was the AD at Tennessee before a few years ago, kind of told Gary Patterson that, well, you're coming from a mid-major program. Considering that at the time, TCU had more Heisman Trophy winners than Tennessee, and probably as many national championships as Tennessee, but he felt that TCU was a mid-major program. So that's another that's par for what Hamilton did down there. He hired Lane Boy, and then Lane lasted 1 year, and then he hires Des Bryant's chauffeur, Dooley, and we see where that's gone. And now he's got, as they call him in media now around Knoxville, Lyle Jones instead of Butch. I think that's Butch's middle name is Lyle, so they're calling him. He's getting known as Lyle around the Southeast. So I mean, it's just been a series of just disastrous hirings. And Gary Patterson would be a great hire now, but I don't think Tennessee probably has enough money to go after him.
Here's his quote. Patterson says, quote, "Tennessee didn't think I could handle the big stage. My wife and I went to dinner with them, and I could tell they'd already decided on Kiffin. It was the same with Nebraska. I'd interviewed and could tell they'd already decided on Bo Pelini. I think a lot of these ADs now are more interesting in hiring guys who are going to win the podium than they are in hiring football coaches. There's a lot more to it than if you're going to win a lot more to it. Let me say it again. There's a lot more to it than that if you're going to win championships." So Patterson, again, since that interview, Patterson's teams have gone 84-28. Well, Tennessee has gone 56-55. So proof's in the pudding. Gary Patterson, the head coach at Texas Christian, they got a big ball game coming up this weekend. So he feels snubbed, and I guess
and not only did Nebraska screw that, and Tennessee screwed up, Nebraska did too. Even though Pelini was a decent coach, they fired Frank Solich. Frank Solich's only crime, I think, in Nebraska was he won 9 games his last year there, and they fired him. And he has went on to coach. He's kept his career going. He's probably close to a Hall of Fame coach as his career in the Mid-American Conference.
At the Ohio University Bobcat School.
I mean, it's like some of these athletic directors have no clue, or boosters who run the athletic department have no clue about what they're going to do.
Speaking of the Bobcats, last night they played, as we told you yesterday on the show, they played Toledo and beat them 38-10. Also, you had Miami of Ohio defeating Akron 24-14. Buffalo earlier in the week beat Bowling Green 38-28. Central Michigan beat Eastern Michigan 42-30. A couple of games tonight in college football. Ball State will be at Northern Illinois. Georgia Southern. Remember those guys?
Oh my God! They may be the worst team in Division 1A football right now. They're 0 or whatever.
They're at Boone tonight, taking on Appalachian State. Be a little cool tonight, I would think, at Appalachian State. And then North Carolina plays at Pittsburgh in the ACC. That's coming up again tonight. Les Miles, the Mad Hatter, says he's interested in Oregon State. What do you think?
No, would not be a good fit. Here's why. At Oregon State, you normally are not getting the top recruits you are from around the country, like when you're coaching at LSU. Les's problem was when he was the head coach, Les couldn't coach kids up. Les is a good motivator, but he can't coach kids up. Look at his offense was one of the worst in the Southeastern Conference at LSU. Oregon State would not be a good fit for Les. Now, if a like not a Power 5 conference team, but say one of the ones below it, maybe the AAC. If you want to be one of the top programs in there and you want to take a chance on Les, okay, that you might be the best fit. But where you've actually got to do coaching and coach those kids up, it's not a good fit. I mean, same thing as Butch Jones. I mean, it's the same kind of coach except he's a lot better motivator than Butch Jones will be.
Wow,
with his champions for life. You know, last year it was the champions after they lost. It was the champions for life, and so Lyle's. But the rumors are flying. Lyle may be like the cat who has 9 lives, even though everybody thinks he's gone. There is grumblings. He's really politicking to keep his job with the big. And if he doesn't go, you talk about Tennessee fans. They may burn the stadium down if he doesn't.
Wow.
If he's not shown the exit door after the Vanderbilt game. Or
week's rivalry weekend, it'll be Ohio State and Michigan. Carmichael says this week Buckeyes win in Columbus. Game number 2, Alabama, the number 1 team in the country, and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Again, 9-0 Crimson Tide and 7-2 Mississippi State. This is one of your top 5 games of the week.
One of the top 5 games of the week. Dan Mullen doing a fine job, of course. The rumors flying out of Knoxville that he's a possibility of coaching candidate down there. Does a great job with their quarterback. Mississippi State has been up and down this year. Some weeks they look like one of the best top 10 teams in the country, and some weeks they look horrible. I think this week they've got a chance. It's another one. Their offense has to be able to move against Alabama. They can. Alabama's got some injuries at linebacker, especially at defensive line. You wonder how much of a toll this is going to take on Alabama. Mississippi State wants to run the ball, just pass the ball when, keep the chains moving, make it 3rd and short. Don't get in long yardage situations on 3rd down. If they do, then Alabama's able to tee off on them. I think Alabama moves the ball well enough. I'd love to see Mississippi State pull the upset, but I don't think so. I like Alabama to win by probably at least 10 points.
Going forward, is Dan Mullen a good fit for Tennessee?
He would be a great fit. Develops, Dan Mullen may not win the press conference like Patterson was saying, but he coaches football. Look at all the quarterbacks he's developed. He's developed Dak Prescott. He's developed Alex Smith. He helped with developmental of Tim Tebow. I mean, Chris Leak that played at Florida. He was Urban's number 1. He was Urban's offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Florida and at Utah. He would be a fabulous fit in Knoxville.
Joe Vento comes up in a few minutes previewing East Tennessee State Sanford. At the bottom of the hour, we'll check in with our buddy Dave Angie. He's going to join us live by phone to preview the high school football playoff games. Doug Fritz not with us tonight. He'll be back with us actually tomorrow on the show and our Friday show, the Tom Taylor Sports Show. Up next, Notre Dame at Miami. That will be a bunner. It'll be Notre Dame, of course, going in as an 8-1 team against Miami, who is undefeated at 8-0. 8 o'clock on Saturday night in Florida. What do you think about this?
They used to call this the Catholics versus the convicts. Now we look at it more as the Rosary Beads versus the chain gang, or the chain group, because of Miami's thing with the big chain when they get a turnover, and then Notre Dame, of course. But this is another game. Defense, turnovers. It's going to tell a story in this. Notre Dame and Miami in the top 5 in turnover margin in the country. The only thing is, when Notre Dame turns you over, they usually take it down and score touchdowns. Miami did turn Virginia Tech over a lot last week, but they also had quarterback interceptions of their own. Can Notre Dame do this against them? Both of them have been effective running the ball. Probably Notre Dame has done a better job. It's probably the biggest game. It's the biggest game at Miami in many years. I mean, if Mark Richt can get this win, it's a signature win, even more so than Florida State was earlier in the year. But I like Notre Dame's ability to be able to run the ball, throw the ball just when needed. I mean, we're going back to old time. We after that 62-52 game or we had last week with Oklahoma State, and some of those Big 12 matchups, you're getting back to watching good, physical, solid football with some of these games. And I think, and it's been what Notre Dame did. Ryan Kelly went in and changed offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators last year, brought a more physical approach, brought in a new strength and conditioning coach, and it's paid off for Notre Dame this year. And I like for them to win the game at Miami and keep marching on toward the playoffs.
It's the top 5 college football games of the week. Of course, Carmichael does this every week, usually by phone, but we rearranged his schedule. He can do it on his way home now. Iowa at Wisconsin. What do you think about that one?
That's another one. Iowa with a big win last week, still in contention for the Big Ten West, but they've got to win this game at Wisconsin. Wisconsin wants to prove themselves that they belong in the conversation for the Final Four, because Wisconsin knows they've got to end the season undefeated to get in that Final Four. They couldn't be 12-1 and have a chance. And now they've got to start winning games, but it's just back like in the old poll days. They've got to start winning games by margins, because if you want those 13 people to notice that you've done so, that you're a team that belongs to that Final Four, you got to start putting a whipping on some of these teams. I will be able to keep this game close, but I think Wisconsin's defense in the end puts them out, and they beat Iowa. I think we'll have the hangover from the win over Ohio State last weekend, especially going on the road to Wisconsin.
Iowa 6-3, Wisconsin 9-0, and last but not least, you've got TCU, the Horned Frogs. Speaking of Coach Patterson, TCU at Oklahoma again. Record-wise, you've got TCU again rolling in there again on Saturday, and Texas Christian with a record of 8-1, Oklahoma at 8-1, both ranked in the top 10. And who do you like there on this one?
I like Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma throws the ball. They cannot stop anybody on defense. I mean, last week in that game, I watched that game with Oklahoma State. I mean, they had 76 points at halftime, the two teams did. I mean, it was like not only were receivers just running down the field, Oklahoma's playing 12 yards back in a zone to let them, but they were running back past those guys. It's like they know that it's kind of like a 3-point. It's kind of like watching the Warriors play basketball. Golden State, as long as they're shooting that 3-pointer and they're making it, it's great. But when it doesn't fall, it hurts them. And that's the same thing with Oklahoma. As long as they're able to move the ball offensively, pass the ball, Baker Mayfield probably right now the number 1 candidate for the Heisman Trophy. As long as you're able to move the ball effectively, then they're going to outscore you. But one of these days, it's not going to happen, and it could happen this week. Gary Patterson has always played great. Has always been known as a defensive genius. So let's see if they're able to slow Oklahoma down. I don't think so. Not playing in Norman with that crowd. I think Baker Mayfield and Oklahoma wins by at least 2 touchdowns. And last, meant to put it on here, was the Auburn-Georgia game. Mm-hmm. The game, it's right now until this moment, it is the game of the year in the Southeastern Conference. Mm-hmm. Georgia's already punched their ticket for Atlanta for the SEC championship game. Auburn, if they win out, they go to the SEC championship game. It's not only a big game for Auburn to get to the SEC championship. Gus Malzahn, the math professor, is probably coaching for his career at Auburn. Mm-hmm. If Gus wins these next 2 games, 2 of the next 3, which is Georgia this week and then Alabama in 2 weeks, he probably stays at Auburn next year, and he wins the SEC West and would play Georgia in a rematch. If he loses these 2 games, Gus is probably on his way out the door. I like if Georgia's able to run the ball, if they're able to and just pass it just a little bit with their freshman quarterback. I think they can beat Auburn. But something tells me maybe this is just a crazy year. Last week was a crazy week in college football. I like Auburn to pull the upset and beat Georgia on Saturday.
Wow. All right. Here's who's got left. Auburn has Georgia, Louisiana Monroe and Auburn, and Alabama and Auburn. All 3 still at home for the rest of the season for the Tigers. And for Georgia, after this Saturday, they go back home to take on Kentucky on November the 18th and wrap things up rivalry weekend against Georgia Tech in Atlanta. So, by the way, out of the Southeastern Conference teams that are still trying to get bowl eligible, Arkansas 4 wins, Florida's got 4, Ole Miss has got 4, Missouri's got 4, Tennessee's got 4, Texas A&M's got 5. They've got New Mexico this week. You got to feel like they can get that. And then also you've got Vanderbilt with 4. Tennessee off the radar screen. Tennessee, Missouri. What do you think?
Missouri. I just, Tennessee did well the other night. It helped that Southern Miss had so many penalties in the game, but Tennessee was able to run the ball. No matter, and they didn't really quit. That's something you have to say about these kids playing down there. You look at Florida, they quit last week. That wasn't on the coaches. That was on the players. I mean, that's what Randy Shannon's fault. Those kids quit on him last week. He did everything he could, and they quit and played one of the worst games I've ever seen Florida play against Missouri last week. Tennessee just doesn't have talent. I mean, they're just so beat and banged up. They don't have a quarter. This McBride kid may be okay at quarterback, but I mean, he needs time to develop. He needs a training camp or a summer camp in the spring to really develop. I think of the quarterbacks they've got left, he's the best one. Now, do I think he'll be the quarterback next year? No. I think one of the recruits that comes in this year in 2018 will be. Tennessee can run the ball, but I just think Missouri's just too powerful on offense for him.
Garetano is a game-time decision for Missouri coming up again on Saturday. One more game real quick. Florida at South Carolina. Pretty good game in the SEC East. What do you think?
I think South Carolina takes them to the woodshed. You don't think Will Muschamp wants to take a chance to lay it to Florida. And this is, if you're going to get your licks at Florida, this is the year to do it, because if they make a good hire coming up, you may not get that chance for a while.
There you go. Good job, my friend, as always. Anything you want to leave? Oh, switching total gears, Bruce Pearl refuses to cooperate with the investigation.
What does that tell you about? I mean, it's what it's what it's told you all about Bruce Pearl. When he was at Tennessee, he may have been a very successful coach. He got a lot of wins and losses, but look at what he did to he lied, and that's why he got fired. And he's always been right there in that shady area. As I guess we talked about last week, talked about Donnie Tyndall maybe being working Junior Sample's BR549 lot. Well, Bruce may be working like a Lexus lot. That might be like Bruce's his life. Bruce might be the one that works the Lexus. And it's just like, man, that Auburn situation. The AD resigns this week, says he'll be gone before June 1. It won't be like when Dave Hart left Tennessee. The softball coach, the assistant coach, whose daddy was the head coach, was having an affair with one of the players, so they're under investigation for that. This whole mess. There's something with, I think it's gymnastics, maybe where there's a Title IX. There was I've heard of a slapping in a coach's meeting, and I think it was gymnastics where the head coach slapped the assistant coach. You've got all the stuff going on with Gus, which now all this stuff with Pearl might buy Gus some more time, but I doubt it. So you've got all this going on down at Auburn. I mean, it's just a train wreck of a school's athletic department right now.
And I got a story here where Tommy Tuberville says he'd like to be the AD at Auburn. So I said, if I could, he said, I'd love to help Auburn's athletic program. That's a quote. I don't think there's anyone more qualified than me. I know it. I know the people. I know the boosters, the alumni. I know the city, the community. Would love to talk to the president, whether I'm a candidate or whether I can help.
Well, it's whoever gets hired at Auburn, it's going to be whoever's the boosters want to put in. I think that's it seems like now most of the schools in the country, I mean, the boosters run the show with few exceptions. Nick runs his own show in Alabama, and nobody tells Nick what to do. But Nick's got the national championships to back him up.
Yep, he's got the hardware sitting in the trophy case inside the football office. Good job. We'll see you next week.
See you next Thursday.
Quick break. We'll be right back. We'll jump in here and go on the phone and check in with Joe Vento with a preview of the Buccaneers on the road at Sanford coming up next here on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show inside the showroom, inside the studio, inside the showroom of Champion Chevrolet. Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
Truck Month continues at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City with unbelievable savings on a selection of over 500 new Chevys to choose from. 17 Silverado Crew Cab All-Star, $11,000 off MSRP. 18 Equinox, $6,000 off MSRP. 18 Trax, $4,500 off MSRP. 23% off 17 Cruze and Malibu, 25% off 17 Sonic and Spark LS. Shop us online 24/7 and remember our Saturday parts and service hours. Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, where we leave you asking, how do they do that?
Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue. Do you like pulled pork? At Phil's, the pulled pork is cooked low and slow. We cook it all night, but we serve it fast. Our pulled pork is hickory smoked, tender and juicy. We serve the pork either as a sandwich on a bun or platter style with garlic toast. And don't forget to try our pork wings. They taste like a cross between ham and our sweet ribs. It comes as a meal, as an add-on, or part of our meat sampler platters. Pulled pork and pork wings. Just two great reasons to stop by Phil's Dream Pit. Eastern Star exit off I-26, 349-6437. Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
We're back with the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. We are live, of course, inside the studio, inside the showroom here at Champion Chevrolet, the home of Tim Copenhaver and Andy Dietrich and all the great folks. Andy will be by here in just a few minutes. And let's go to the phone. You see it on the screen. Our buddy Joe Vento covering East Tennessee State sports for the Johnson City Press. And good evening, my good friend. How are you?
I'm doing great, Tom. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for your time. I know you're busy, and I appreciate that very much, you taking your time to be on the show. So let's talk about it. We'll talk basketball coming up here in a moment. But first, Buck football on the road this Saturday against a very, very good football team, the Samford Bulldogs down in Alabama. Give me a preview, please.
Well, the Samford Bulldogs will be probably have a little bit of an attitude because last year in the regular season finale, they came up to Johnson City, nationally ranked, on their way to the playoffs, and ETSU squeaked out a 15-14 win over them, and it did not keep them out of the playoffs, but still they have to be remembering what happened to them. It was kind of a chilly day here, and from the looks of it, a lot of their guys didn't really appear to want to be there because it was not a nice fall day. But this year the Bucks are going down there, and Samford is nationally ranked again, probably on their way to the playoffs again, with the most prolific passing offense in the Southern Conference. Usually week to week we're always talking about these teams, how well they run it in the SoCon. But Samford's quarterback, Devon Hodges, is averaging 355 yards a game through the air. That's fourth or fifth in the country, and he's already got 24 touchdown passes this year. And last year he set all kinds of school records. But when he came to Johnson City, he threw for 4,000 yards last year. When he came to Johnson City, he had 14 completions and 122 yards, which are just so far below anything else he's done. In fact, in his career, he's a junior now, and in his career he's only been held without a touchdown pass 2 times. And once was by Louisville and once was by ETSU. So they got a lot to play for this week. So the Bucks are going to get the best shot of the Bulldogs.
So it's a little bulletin board material. Is that what you're telling me? It's up on the bulletin board?
Yeah, and plus, I mean, ETSU, they're probably up on the bulletin board even a little more this week because it's homecoming at Samford. And Coach Carl Torbush and some of the players are convinced that they chose homecoming weekend based on whatever weekend ETSU was coming because they wanted to get him back. And he said, you don't, and Carl throughout his years, he knows what goes on in homecoming. He said, I know why why they pick a certain opponent for homecoming, and he said, I don't think it was an accident that they picked us.
Oh, no. Week 10, and they pick them. So, yeah, absolutely. They've got them on week number 10 of the regular season. Normally you have homecoming in mid-October when the weather's a little bit more conducive to outdoor, the Queen and the court and all that. So, yeah, I get that. I think he's exactly right. They picked the last game of the year. The Bucs are coming to town, so a little extra motivation. Let's see if it'll be motivation for the Bucs too, though. So it should hopefully go both ways.
Well, it could. I mean, for sure. That's why Carl was telling them, and he told those guys as well to remember last year. I mean, what they did last year was pretty amazing. They kept it close. They fell behind 14-0, and he's always saying, if we have a chance to win it at the end, he said that's what we want to do. And they actually, the defense clamped down. They got the ball back, trailing by 2 with maybe 4.5 minutes left or so, and they ran every second of that clock off. And J.J. German kicked the field goal as time expired. And Torber said, we didn't want to give that offense the ball back at any time because you know what they can do at any moment. So it was probably, you talk about closing the season on a high note. That was the last play of the season for the Bucs, and they pulled it off just how they wanted. And it sent them into the offseason with some momentum. Well, although, I mean, how much does momentum really matter in the offseason? But they felt pretty good about themselves, at least.
Talking to Joe Vento of the Johnson City Press. We're live inside the studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet. Again, talking college football right now. Again, Dave Angie joins us in a few minutes to preview the high school football playoffs. And so the Bucs at 4-5, at Sanford 6-3. Then they've got one more game after that, and that's coming up next weekend down in Chattanooga against their dreaded rival, the Moccasins of Chattanooga. So we'll talk about that next week. And so good luck to the Bucs.
I was going to just jump in there and say 2-7 Mocs.
Yes, a team that's really fell in some hard times. I mean,
yes.
They've had the bottom fall out since last year, so that'll be for next week. But good luck this week for the Bucs again, heading down to Sanford to battle the Bulldogs. 4-5 the Bucs, and 6-3 Sanford, Alabama. Joe Vento, men's college basketball, specifically Buck basketball, tomorrow night. Big season opener for Coach Forbes and the boys. And tell us a little bit about the preseason camp now for Buck basketball.
Well, they all say they're ready. He's named to start in the lineup, and they're all seniors. And they are playing at Northern Kentucky tomorrow night. And most of the times, when you're in directional school, you don't think a whole lot about them. And Northern Kentucky, they won the Horizon Conference tournament last year, made the NCAA tournament, gave Kentucky a decent game in the NCAA tournament. And they were picked second in that league this year, but they're ranked 11th in the national mid-major poll. They play in a 9,400-seat arena. And their arena is so good, the University of Cincinnati is using it this year, while theirs is renovated. And they also have the preseason player of the year at Northern Kentucky in the Horizon League. So the Bucs, they're not easing into the season. There's no Tusculans or Milligans to start and get your feet wet. They're jumping in full force, and they feel like they're ready. These early season games are really a good way to see what you can expect the rest of the way, just to see how competitive they're going to be.
We're talking again to our buddy Joe Vento, so that starts the men's basketball schedule. When do the Lady Bucks get going? I know they got Cincinnati coming to town. When is that? Is that tonight?
That's tomorrow night. Tomorrow night season opener across the country. So that's first night I'll be playing, and Cincinnati's coming to play the ETSU women, and that's great that they have those kinds of teams coming into Brooks Gym. Michigan State's coming next month into Brooks Gym, the women.
Wow.
So, and let me tell you something. I saw the women practice the other day, a little scrimmage, and I think they're going to be good. They got this freshman. She's 5'5", Erica Overton Haynes, and not to put any pressure on her, but she might be the quickest player I've seen on that women's team ever. She's a little 5'5" guard, and she just drives the lane. She get her shot off anytime she wants. She's so quick, and she's from Nashville. But look for her to form a formidable backcourt with Tiana Tartar.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're if you're quicker, you're saying she could be quicker than Tartar. That's saying something because Tartar's got some jets. So should be fun to watch. The Lady Bucks coming up again tomorrow night against the Lady Bearcats of Cincinnati. Got them in Brooks Gym. Joe Vento, what do you want to leave us with, my friend?
Well, just a real little quick funny thing. I told you that Cincinnati's playing in Northern Kentucky's gym this year. They're actually opening tomorrow at noon because they wanted to have their home opener on the night they could. But since Northern Kentucky's playing, Cincinnati's playing at noon in the same gym, and they're playing Savannah State. That's ETSU's opponent next Monday. And Steve Forbes told me. Steve Forbes said he's not allowed to go watch it. You're not allowed to scout those opponents live like that. So, because I thought how convenient. He said he wished they just let them play it there while they're both there.
Yeah. Do a two for one. You got it. Good point.
Because we're all going to Savannah Monday.
Headed to Savannah. Joe Vento, great report, my friend. We'll look for your recount of the ball game coming up on Sunday morning and Sunday morning's paper, the Bucks football and at Sanford. And again, of course, we follow you all season long with men's basketball and ladies basketball too.
Sounds good, Tom. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Great job. Joe Vento again, the Johnson City Press joining us. We're live here again at Champion Chevrolet. Hello to David Decker. Hello to Christian Schneider Rushing. Also hello to Jennifer Stone Jones. Appreciate you folks. Also Renee McNeil. Hello to you. Appreciate you guys again watching us here on the show. And let's see who else we got here. We got more down through here. Let's see. Hit that big fat button. Chip Pratt, hello, my friend. We thank you very much. Chip Pratt's up there in Cincinnati watching the ball game. Hello, Bubba. You need to call me. We haven't talked for a while and kind of get caught up, see what's going on in your world. Coming up, we will hear from Chris McCall, the Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech matchup. Again, Hokie High. They're on the road in Atlanta this week, and we'll get that preview coming up here in a few minutes. Kevin Harmon a little bit later on previews the Tennessee at Missouri football game on Saturday evening at 7:30 in Columbia, Missouri. Coming up next, high school football preview. Dave Angie joins us coming up next. Our co-host out on the road tonight covering the basketball jamboree at Elizabethton High School. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come right back and we'll hear from Joe Vento, see what he allows for the high school football playoffs this week. 6 classifications. We have teams in every class, and we'll see how he thinks they're going to do tomorrow night. He'll join us coming up next here live from inside the studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. We appreciate these folks very much and allowing us to come and be in their house every week and promote this great company. And so, quick break. We'll again talk to Dave Angie, high school basketball next here on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show.
American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City takes care of both male and female customers, but owner Kim Smith says they have a special care and concern for ladies.
Being a female in what's considered a man's business, I understand the trepidation that women may have when they come to the shop. They feel like they don't know about cars, they might be intimidated, but that's not the way we do business. Everybody's treated the same. We take the time to explain anything that they have questions about, the repair, the process, the part. We want to make sure people are comfortable with what we're going to do to their vehicle and that they understand. We do cater to women in a sense. We have a real nice waiting room with nice Keurig coffee and flavored creamers, air-conditioned, cushioned seats, TV, everything a girl could want while she waits for her car to be fixed.
American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, open 6 days a week. Call today at 913-3111.
Do you need an event catered? At Phil's Dream Pit, we cater for gatherings over 50 people. Weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, company picnics, sporting banquets, to name a few. We can set up, clean up, and of course serve. We also offer value packs that include all the food. You pick that up and serve it yourself. Check out our webpage at philsdreampit.com. That's philsdreampit.com. Phil's Dream Pit, Eastern Star exit on I-26, open Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And we're a phone call away at 423-349-6437, 349-6437. Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue.
If you're catching some waves or just playing in the yard, it is important to protect yourself. You may not feel the sun's heat, but UV rays can still damage your skin even in cloudy weather. Blue Lizard Sunscreen, recommended by pharmacists and dermatologists nationwide. Our SPF 30-plus formulations use only the highest quality ingredients for broad spectrum protection. As a reminder to protect yourself, our bottle turns blue when UV light is present. Blue Lizard, we've got you covered.
From the driveways where your kids play basketball and ride their bicycles, to the parking lots at your local church or grocery store, Bracken Paving is an important part of many neighborhoods in our area. No matter how large or how small the job, Bracken strives for excellence in every service they provide. It's a foundation for a strong community. Discover the difference at Bracken Paving and Asphalt Maintenance. Give us a call or visit us online at brackenpaving.com.
Back on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Normally he's sitting right beside me, but tonight he's on the trail, our buddy Dave Onge, and he is in Elizabethton for the basketball jamboree. And let's see, Game 1 is complete. You had Game 1 play between Sullivan Central and Science Hill. South and Dobbins Bennett coming up next. It's every 30 minutes. And who won the first game, Dave Onge, Science Hill or Central?
That's a great question. I've been back here interviewing basketball, but I didn't see the action. I could hear the sounds from the gym and hear the ball bouncing, which is enough to get me excited about basketball season. But didn't see the final. I can guess who won.
The old hospitality room got you, huh? So you weren't even out there to see the game. That's good. All right, well.
Yeah.
Well, food.
I can tell you they're fired up over here. They're pretty fired up with their Cyclones getting ready to play Anderson County, undefeated Anderson County team that apparently has done quite a bit of trash talking online. So people are ready for tomorrow night.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that coming up in a second. Let's start in 6A football again. He's subbing out for our buddy Doug Fritz. Will be back with us next week. And so high school football playoffs, again, it is Dobbins Bennett playing host to Bradley Central. Bradley Central in a controversial win over Science Hill last week. Of course, DB got the big win over Ottawa. So tomorrow night, Bradley Central coming to Kingsport. What are the chances Graham Clark and the Indians can move on to the quarterfinals?
Yeah, it's. I think everybody was anticipating a Science Hill, Dobbins Bennett rematch in this round of the playoffs, and I guess the officials, from what Science Hill fans say, had other ideas because that one they were on the wrong end of a few bad calls down that way, and that was enough to kind of turn the tide. We talked about that game last week, Bradley Central and Science Hill. We talked about how it's going to come down to just one play, pretty much at the end. Both teams were going to score a lot of points, and we were right on that. Both teams scored a lot, but Science Hill kind of on the wrong end there. So now you have a Bradley Central team 9-2 on the season coming up to Dobbins Bennett. I was impressed with what the Indians did last week. Ottawa scored 7 points, which with the offense they have, really surprising. DB was able to do that. Obviously generated a lot of offense there. So, I say long trip, Bradley Central coming up here. I give DB the edge in this game, and I'm just impressed with them. Week after week, they keep getting better, and I expect them to win this week and move on.
Sweet 16 in all the classes. The other games in 6A tomorrow night: Farragut at Maryville, Blackman at Murfreesboro, Oakland, Riverdale and Bill Cookville across the state, Brentwood at Cane Ridge, Independence at Ravenwood tomorrow night, Memphis Central at Whitehaven, and Germantown playing host to Memphis White Station. That's the 16 teams still left again in 6A football. 5A football, let's jump in and go. Really a disappointing opening round for 5A football for our neck of the woods. Every single team got beat. So you have Knox Central at Sevier County and South Doyle Knox Halls. That's and Knox West at Oak Ridge and Knox Fulton and Knox Catholic. So we kind of went out with a whimper here in Northeast Tennessee in 5A football last week.
Yeah, a lot of knocks in there. Everybody's pretty much knocked something. That's remained, which kind of. It was a week of hard knocks for our teams up here in 5A, and definitely a lot of good teams down that way, and it always has been that way. And those guys can battle it out down there this week.
Central Sevier County, South Doyle Knox Halls, and Oak Ridge Knox West. Again, those will be the teams in 5A football. We're talking to Dave Onge. So then we get into where we've still got local teams, and you mentioned it a few minutes ago. Greenville and Chattanooga Central, and then Elizabethton. The Cyclones traveling tomorrow night to Anderson County to battle the Mavericks. We had the Sean Witten Coaches Show earlier, and it's still out there. Just go to YouTube and type in Sean Witten, and the highlights from last week's win over Sequoia, we did those and talked about Anderson County tomorrow night. It is the highest scoring team in the state. They average 55 points a game for Anderson County. Elizabethton averaging over 40 points a game. Elizabethton's had 52. Let's see, they've had 120 some points. Let's see, 120 some points over the last 3 games. So it'll be a train wreck tomorrow night. Let's start with that one. Elizabethton or Anderson County? You're right. They are doing a lot of trash talking. Are the Mavericks? And what do you think tomorrow night?
Yeah, the argument over this way in Elizabethton is Anderson County. Obviously they're unbeaten, but people think that they're untested, at least compared to Elizabethton, who has played a really tough schedule this year. Obviously the game against Greenville, which they held their own against a Greenville team that has really put some points up on the board this year. Couldn't generate enough offense to win that one. Of course, they also played Science Hill really early in the season and lost that ball game, but that was a Science Hill team that was playing really well at the time. I think Science Hill, as the year went on, for whatever reason, just did not continue improving week after week. But week 1, they were a very solid football team, and Elizabethton went in and played against them as well. So I think the competition Elizabethton has seen, has been maybe a little bit tougher than what Anderson County has seen. Now, you can't argue with the results. They put up a lot of points. They do what they're supposed to do against teams they're supposed to beat. But you get in the playoffs, it comes time to where, this second round, you have to start being able to grind out some wins. And, if you're a team that hasn't had to grind it out during the season, you're ahead, and in the second half, your starters are on the bench and your second string guys are playing. These guys haven't had to play a hard game into the fourth quarter, at least not very often this year, the way Elizabethton has. And I think that gives the Cyclones a little bit of a mental edge going into the ball game. And I think it gives them a fighting chance. Again, it's almost like the Bradley Central Science Hill game we talked about last week. It's going to come down to, maybe a call here, a call there, a turnover, something happening, late in the game. But I guess Elizabethton will just have to make, one more play than Anderson County if they want to come out on top. And, it's going to be a hard-fought game, I think, all the way through the fourth quarter.
Other side of the bracket in 4A football, Chattanooga Central, after beating Solomon South in the last play of the game, Chattanooga Central travels to Greenville tomorrow night at Burley Stadium. Of course, everything's still 7 o'clock kickoffs across the state. Greenville or Chattanooga Central, is that a foregone conclusion?
I'll tell you, that win last week, 45-42, that's Chattanooga Central down there over South. That'll be their one shining moment. I think they need to remember that fondly and forget about what happens tomorrow night, because Greenville, man, oh man, I think they're going to put it to them like they have everybody else. And just a tough matchup this early in the playoffs for a pretty good Chattanooga Central team.
Here's the 4A bracketing. 8 games tomorrow night, 16 teams still left. Chattanooga Central at Greenville, Elizabethton 9-2 at Anderson County, 11-0. Nolensville at Maplewood, Spring Hill at Marshall County, Jackson Southside at White House tomorrow night, Springfield at Lexington, Haywood hosting Obion County, and Dyersburg at Crockett County. And that's all 4A football. Again, winners move on, losers stay home. Tomorrow night in 3A football, Johnson County, Dave Angie, the Longhorns, after beating Northview Academy 21-20. They'll host the Austin East Roadrunners, who shut out Unicoi County last week, 33-0. On the other side of the bracket is Kingston and Alcoa. So Johnson County tomorrow night is going to be cold here in the valley. It's going to be even colder on the mountain. Tomorrow night they host Austin East. What's your take on that ball game?
This, to me, might be the most intriguing game we're looking at this week, just because of what you're talking about there. Austin East, a real speed team, a lot of speed, which is normally hard for a team like Johnson County to deal with. I think they would normally struggle. But this thing's up on the mountain, and it's going to be cold. We're talking below freezing cold up there, and a long bus ride from Austin East. I can't imagine. I made that trip from Johnson City. It seemed like a long trip. Then you add another hour or whatever onto it to go wind up the mountain up there to get up the mountain city. Definitely going to be a lot of factors working against Austin East. Normally you look at football, and the one factor you look at that can overcome a lot is speed, and Austin East definitely has that. But with it being so cold outside, and we've had a pretty warm fall so far, how is their offense going to work? How are they going to be able to hold on to the ball, when they're as cold as they're going to be tomorrow night? So the elements and the trip and all that working against them, I think that gives Johnson County a chance. But the speed that Austin East has, if they are able to execute their offense, I think they'll have enough to win that game.
The other side of the bracket in Northeast Tennessee, Alcoa hosting Kingston. I think Alcoa would be the team to beat in that particular game as well. The rest of the bracket, York Institute at Red Bank, Loudon at Smith County, Pearl Cone will be hosting East Nashville, Giles County will be at Fairview tomorrow night, Milan will be taking on Covington, and Raleigh Egypt at 11-0 hosting South Gibson in 3A football. 2A football, we've got two teams still standing. Sullivan North, the Golden Raiders, will take on Rockwood, and the Happy Valley Warriors hosting Meigs County tomorrow night. And so give us the take on those two ball games. And actually Happy Valley, travels to Meigs County, but North is home against Rockwood, and that makes a big difference whether you're home or away. So let's start with the first one. North, after beating Cumberland Gap, will be hosting Rockwood, who beat the Hampton Bulldogs. How do you like that one tomorrow night in Bloomingdale?
Yeah, Rockwood, really put it to Hampton pretty good. 45-14 there, and really solid football team. Sullivan North, the key for them, being at home is going to help. The other thing for them, if they're able to establish their ground game, and control time of possession and keep Rockwood's offense off the field into the second half, I think time of possession will be important in this game. The one thing I'm concerned about with North and what I think is going to happen is Rockwood's going to be able to put up a score or two early in the game. And if that happens and North's playing from behind, that really takes them out of their comfort zone, because they can't run the ball like they would like to. They're going to have to put the ball in the air and try to do some things, outside of where they normally like to. So, my thought on this is Rockwood gets off to a fast start and is able to take the win. But if you're North, what you're pulling for is for them maybe to be able to force a turnover early, get an easy score, get the lead, and then be able to try to run that football and establish that ground game, because I think that's their shot at winning.
Well, again, we're talking to our buddy Dave Angie. Happy Valley tomorrow night, 8-3, traveling to Meigs County, undefeated at 11-0. Could be a long bus ride for Happy Valley. They got a chance to pull one off here.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple of Happy Valley fans, and they're not very excited about that trip down to Meigs County. Not very, fired up about it. I'll say this for Happy Valley: they hit a tough stretch in the middle of their schedule, had a 3-game losing streak, and bounced back and responded from that. Got a win in the first round of the playoffs. Done some really good things this year, especially when you consider, and we've talked about it on this show all year, all of the impact players, the seniors they lost off last year's team, they were able to reload and put together 8 wins. I think that's a positive, and they're going to take that away from this season, getting to the second round of the playoffs again, but I don't think they get beyond Meigs County.
Here is the 2A bracketing, 8 games tomorrow night. We gave you, of course, Sullivan North hosting Rockwood. Then you have Happy Valley traveling to Meigs County. Watertown at Tyner tomorrow night down in Chattanooga. Marion County at Trousdale County. Eagleville, Columbia Academy. Waverly hosting Lewis County. Union City home to Douglas, and Peabody hosting Adamsville for tomorrow night. Again, everything starts at 7 o'clock. That's in 2A football. Then in single A, one team still standing there, the Cloudland Highlanders. They're at 9-2 hosting Coalfield. Coalfield come in with a record of 10-1, and again, that one's up on the mountain tomorrow night. It's going to be cold up on top of the mountain there in Cloudland as it is in Johnson County, so that may play to the advantage of Cloudland because they're used to the cold weather up there on the mountain. So they got Coalfield tomorrow night. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll tell you, if I were a player or coach, I would not want to be going up the mountain, one of those mountains. That just seems that's going to be a rough way to make a living. Any other Friday night this year, this week, it's going to be cold out there. So, still, I think, things. Again, this is a challenge here where I don't see them having just enough high caliber athletes to be able to get the win here. Great season by them, and Mike Lunsford again has done a good job. And there's always a chance though with long bus. It's just not. Their opponent gets up there, just can't doesn't come off the bus with any spring. It's a really tough environment, and I think that gives Cloudland a little bit of a puncher's chance. But in the end, I don't think they get beyond this game.
So there you go. There's the pick and panel for tomorrow night. Again, that's going on for high school football, as we said. That will be all starting at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. We've got the pick and panel for you to pick and try and win. Amy McDuffie was our winner last week, and so let's see if you can. We went 8 for 10 again last week again, Dave, so we're hanging right here at 80% consistently each week. So here we go. We got 10 games to pick for. I'll let you get back to the Jamboree. And so pick number 1, Tennessee at Missouri. Who do we take on that one?
I'll tell you, I have a feeling, and that's dangerous, but I think Tennessee gets a win in this game. It just feels like a game Tennessee's going to win. Missouri, I just think that the law of averages says Tennessee's due at this point to get a win, and that's not taking anything away from go with the Volunteers in this one.
So you're taking the Big Orange again to win at Missouri. Florida at South Carolina, two teams that are really going in opposite directions. Florida really struggled and really played poorly against Missouri, and South Carolina is bowl eligible for Muschamp, and he'd love to get one on his former team. You like the Gamecocks in Columbia or Florida on the upset?
I got to go with the Gamecocks. Really wants to stick it to them, I would imagine. And South Carolina's got a lot to play for right now. Florida, when you lose your coach mid-season, I think it's one of those things where you kind of get a little scattered. It's hard to keep the team together, and I think for that reason, South Carolina gets the win.
All right. I don't know where all of a sudden your cell phone is not as good as it was. If you've moved around, then just give me a heads up. TCU, Texas Christian at Oklahoma on Saturday night in the Big 12. You taking the Horned Frogs, or should we be taking Oklahoma at home?
Yeah, we got to go with Oklahoma in this ball game. TCU, has had some impressive wins this year. I just think Oklahoma, with that offensive line, I think they're going to have the ability to control the football game, and they're going to get a win.
Notre Dame at Miami, a big one. Again, the Fighting Irish 8-1, Miami 8-0. Who do you like that one on Saturday night in Florida? Do you like the Hurricanes? Do you like Notre Dame?
I'm telling you, the Hurricanes are a good story. I don't think at the beginning of the season anybody thought that these two teams would be ranked as high as they are at this point of the year. Of course, it's been a really good rivalry back into the 80s. It really kind of heated up at that point. I was impressed with what Miami did last week, but I still for Dame. They are just focused. They've got their act together this year. Kelly did a good job of reorganizing his staff. They're playing about as well as anybody. So I'm going to say Notre Dame goes down there and gets the win.
Taking Notre Dame. Again, this is the pick 'em panel. You want to ride with us because we're 80%, and we'll tell you how you can do that coming up in a minute. You can win yourself $25 next week if you have the correct picks. Iowa, the Hawkeyes at 6-3, 25th this week at Wisconsin. The Badgers at number 6, 6-3 Iowa, 9-0 Wisconsin. How do you like this one coming up in Camp Randall, Wisconsin on Saturday? Uh-oh. Well, looks like we lost him, unfortunately, but we got well into the interview. So let's do this. Take a quick break. We'll come right back. I'll come down. You can ride my coattails. I'll tell you who you need to pick, and we'll do that coming up next year. Also, Andy Dietrich's due to join us, and also Chris McCall with the Hokies. Hokie High coming up here again on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show.
Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
Truck Month continues at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City with unbelievable savings on a selection of over 500 new Chevys to choose from. 17 Silverado Crew Cab All-Star, $11,000 off MSRP. 18 Equinox, $6,000 off MSRP. 18 Trax, $4,500 off MSRP. 23% off 17 Cruisin' Malibu. 25% off 17 Sonic and Spark LS. Shop us online 24/7 and remember our Saturday parts and service hours. Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, where we leave you asking, how do they do that?
Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue. Do you like pulled pork? At Phil's, the pulled pork is cooked low and slow. We cook it all night, but we serve it fast. Our pulled pork is hickory smoked, tender and juicy. We serve the pork either as a sandwich on a bun or platter style with garlic toast. And don't forget to try our pork wings. They taste like a cross between ham and our sweet ribs. It comes as a meal, as an add-on, or part of our meat sampler platters. Pulled pork and pork wings. Just two great reasons to stop by Phil's Dream Pit. Eastern Star exit off I-26, 349-6437. Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
We're back with the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. We're live here inside the studio, inside the showroom of Champion Chevrolet on the Bristol Motor Mile in Johnson City, where it's, and he's one of them, the Employees Discount Month. Employee pricing. Chris McCall with us. Let's get him on the screen. I don't even have him up on screen. Shame on me. We get it.
That's the smartest move you've made today.
We're going to get my man up on the screen. There he is.
The smartest move you've made, not putting me on camera, buddy.
There he is, our buddy Chris McCall, one of the finance managers here at Champion Chevrolet. And Hokey. Hi. Yep, not too good last week. We took one. Miami's a pretty good football team.
Pretty good football team. Not exactly what we were hoping for. Was Tech just never seemed to get out of the starting gate, did they? It was just a rough night to be a good old VPI guy.
Yep, Hokies in second place behind Miami in the conference. They are currently 3-2. Let me run down the standings in the division. You have Miami at 6-0, Virginia Tech 3-2. Virginia having a good year, 3-2. They're bowl eligible already with 6 wins, as are the Hokies. Georgia Tech 3-3. They're 4-4 overall. Pitt 2-3. They're playing tonight against North Carolina. They're 4-5 overall. Duke 1-5, 4-5 overall, and North Carolina 0-6 in the conference and 1-8 on the season. They're playing each other tonight. Tar Heels in Pittsburgh to battle the Panthers. So it'll be a little cool up here tonight. Tis the season's November to get cool. It's going to be cool tomorrow night in high school football around here. But let's take a look and see what's going on with the Hokies as they get ready to battle. As we said, they travel to Georgia Tech against that triple option, and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Did I say they're bowl eligible? And they are not.
They're not quite yet.
Hokies are at 7-2. They're going somewhere for a bowl. And let's talk about it. Folks out who don't know, the triple option is a very, very tough offense to defend. Trying to learn it to defend in a week. And in layman's terms, folks out there may not know, what is exactly the triple option?
The triple option is when the quarterback is going to read the end most of the time. Mm-hmm. So he's either got the option to pitch the ball, to run the ball, or to throw the ball on every play. And when you've got a guy like Taquan Marshall, which is the kind of quarterback you want to have, he's going to be really inclined to keep that ball any place from the tackle out, so he can, or even from the guard out on some plays. So he's got a lot of options that he can take, and if the Hokies can stop Taquan Marshall, which is the key, it should be a pretty good afternoon in Atlanta for them. So.
Yeah, he's the quarterback, of course, for Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech, yes.
Tennessee fans saw Georgia Tech's triple option in the first game of the season. Tech beat them every Herbert on the scoreboard, so it is a very tough offense to defend against, and lots of options, lots of bells and whistles. That quarterback comes down the line. As you said, he can tuck and run, he can stop, plant, and push, and pass, though, or throw it on the run, or dump it, in that option to a trailing running back. So if you're a defensive end or a linebacker, outside linebackers on this defensive unit, you got to be paying attention, staying home all the time.
You've got to know exactly what your job is. If you've got the quarterback, you've got the quarterback, and those down linemen have the quarterback. The linebackers and the corners are going to have the pitch man. Mm-hmm. And of course, then you hope your secondary is going to be in real good shape or can come over to cover the pass. It's a tough offense to run, and a tough offense to defend. You have to have the right kids on both sides of the ball to make that work. But in that offense, you don't see much of it anymore. The triple option was something that you saw a lot back in the 90s, and of course the power options what you saw in the 80s. So this is an exciting offense to run and to watch. Right now, when you look at a game on Saturday or Friday night most of the times anymore, and especially on Sundays, all you see is the same offense. You don't see anything different.
So Well, I mean, that's a great point. The triple option used to be so commonplace. A lot of teams back in the day when I was a kid, I remember Nebraska did it, and Oklahoma did it, and Alabama ran some triple option, and a lot of the big schools did it. They went away from that. But if it's so hard to defend, and it is, you would think more schools would incorporate that offensive set because it is so hard to defend. Well, why'd they go away from it?
What you saw then is you used to see big, heavy defensive linemen, right? Mm-hmm. You'd see that 6'1", 290-pound guy. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to be too mobile. And so they started putting the bigger the guys, the bigger the guys, the better they were. They started feeding that in the middle, and that helped a lot to slow down that option, because when you can take away that inside run from that quarterback, you've stopped that option. Mm-hmm. When you make the triple option a double option, you're in pretty good shape. Yep. So now what's happened is schools got away from it. It's harder to score quick with that offense, and everybody wants the opportunity to be able to score on the next play. That's what everything's come to. It's not, if you're a true football fan that loves a defensive battle, that's not the kind of football you like to watch. But if you're a true football fan, you'll watch any football. You'll watch Union College play Hampton-Sydney at 3:00 in the morning on a channel. Yeah, that's right. You'll watch them play on Saturday night at 3:00 in the morning. So it's just one of those. It's the reason they got away from it is you have to have that special quarterback too. And nobody wants to get their quarterback beat to death. I mean, you have to have a strong, tough kid. And used to be, a lot of colleges, they would get the toughest halfback out of a high school in Oklahoma and make him their option quarterback. And that's who you win. You remember all those WAC teams playing. I mean, everybody beat each other to death. Texas and Oklahoma, Nebraska. Mm-hmm. They just line up and go at each other for 3 hours on a Saturday afternoon, and whoever had the most blood left in them at the end of the game won.
Last one standing with Band-Aids on.
That's right.
You got it.
So we'll see Saturday. It's something that Tech should. Of course, I'm a homer all the time, but Tech should win this on paper. They should have won last week on paper. So that's why we play on Saturday afternoon. I say that every week. It's why we're playing the game.
You do. Last thing, so having said that about the triple option, then size up the Hokie defense. Do you think these guys are up to the challenge? And throw out some of the names on the defensive side of the football that's got to step up for Justin Fuente this week.
I mean, what you got to see is that nose guard that Tech has, the Minolta kid. He's going to be key this week. He plays in that zero technique, and they don't branch out. And you're going to see some 4-3 this week from them that you don't see a lot from them typically. They've been playing that 3-4, and they haven't slid into a 4-3 or a 4-4 or any kind of 4-front most of the year. But you're going to see some of that switch this week. He's got to be dominant, and he's got to handle that middle. And if he'll handle that middle the way he should, we should be okay. I mean, the linebacker cores are going to be they're going to be all right, and their secondary should match up really, really well with Georgia Tech. So as long as that defensive line can stick in there and hold up tight, it should be a fun afternoon for them.
Any more rumblings about Fuente leaving? Lots of rumblings.
Oh, lots of rumblings, man. Yeah. You just hear it on and on. Even Saturday night, I got on some of those Hokie websites to look after the ball game, and it seems like a lot of people have given up hope. Like they think, well, he's just going to go. Florida's after him really, really hard. That's what I keep hearing, and I'm hoping he stays where he's at. And the people that seem to know seem to think that's what he's going to do. So you won't know until that last ball game, and we hope it's one of those New Year's games sometime around there.
There you go.
Instead of playing the second week of December, but we'll find out in a week or two.
Bowl, whatever.
That's right.
One of the big bowls.
Oh yeah. And I mean, they've got, if they'll beat Virginia and they get through this weekend pretty good, they should be okay.
Yep. They got this week, then they got Pitt back in Blacksburg, and I think wrap things up in Charlottesville in the Commonwealth Cup against a much improved Virginia team. Before I let you go, GM employee pricing on select 2017 Silverados, Traverses, Expresses, Tahoes, and Suburbans. So what's that mean for the folks on the other side of the camera?
As I said before, you pay what I pay. Come and get the car. That means you get the deal, right? So we'll take care of you. Show up at Champion Chevrolet, and we'll just make you a customer, and we'll make you family.
There you go.
How about that?
Hit that bell. That's good.
Hit that bell. Before I go, let me say good luck to Dewey. Dewey at Bluefield College. They
Ramblin' Rams.
took a tough hit last week against Union College, but they've got their final, or against Reinhold College, got their final game tomorrow. So good luck to them. And they're already looking at a winning season, so we're proud of them no matter what.
Hokey, hokey, hokey.
Ha!
Redneck, country's cornbread. I love him.
That's why I'm here.
You got that right. You're invited anytime. I love it. Talk to you next week, buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Quick break. We'll be right back. Guess who's coming next? Mr. Dietrich's in the house. He'll join us coming up next here. And then at the bottom of the hour, we'll hear from Kevin Harmon previewing a tough ball game, Tennessee at Missouri on Saturday night. Woo! We'll talk to Andy coming up next here on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show.
Blue Lizard Australian sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
Truck Month continues at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City with unbelievable savings on a selection of over 500 new Chevys to choose from. 17 Silverado Crew Cab All-Star, $11,000 off MSRP. 18 Equinox, $6,000 off MSRP. 18 Trax, $4,500 off MSRP. 23% off 17 Cruisin' Malibu. 25% off 17 Sonic and Spark LS. Shop us online 24/7 and remember our Saturday parts and service hours. Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, where we leave you asking, how do they do that?
Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue. Do you like pulled pork? At Phil's, the pulled pork is cooked low and slow. We cook it all night, but we serve it fast. Our pulled pork is hickory smoked, tender and juicy. We serve the pork either as a sandwich on a bun or platter style with garlic toast. And don't forget to try our pork wings. They taste like a cross between ham and our sweet ribs. It comes as a meal, as an add-on, or part of our meat sampler platters. Pulled pork and pork wings. Just two great reasons to stop by Phil's Dream Pit. Eastern Star exit off I-26, 349-6437. Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
Back with the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show live inside the studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet. Coming up Monday, we're going to be at Bristol Motor Speedway getting ready for Speedway and Lights. Did the recordings last night. Can't wait. It's the #1 Christmas attraction in the entire Southeast. So we're going to be up there broadcasting live on Monday from Champion Chevrolet.
You know what's next Thursday?
Next Thursday is your birthday.
No.
No.
It's the Night of Smiles.
It is. That's a check presentation.
Yes, next Thursday night.
But you do have a birthday this month.
Yes, the 25th.
I thought it was like
the big
4-0. The big 4-0, November the 25th. Andy.
Very close to Turkey Day.
November. You realize it's hard to believe 2 weeks from today we're going to be eating turkey? We won't be here. Where did the year go? I mean, I'm not kidding you. Somebody the other day we're talking about Easter.
I mean, it felt like just a week ago, and you and I were down there in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Hanging out and drinking Mai Tais and.
Yeah, saltwater fishing.
Yeah, saltwater fishing.
Or you were up at the Speedway in your camper.
Yeah, looking at
hanging.
Yeah, in the hot tub at the camper.
Pig.
In the camper, yeah.
Yeah, did you have a pot belly? Somebody had a pig. You can't
get
a picture.
When the campground next to mine, the little boy was walking a
pot belly pig.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, it's Bristol, baby.
It's Bristol, baby.
I'm ready for a race.
I am too. I'm ready.
But I'll settle for driving through the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
You know what's fun? We'll go. It gets crazy busy closer you get, but we'll go really early. We'll go like an hour before the gates open for it, and we'll stop like at Panera or something and get a big vat of hot chocolate and get all kinds of goodies and stuff, and then we just have a picnic and go through the lights and enjoy it.
Oh yeah. Good
Sing
stuff.
Christmas carols.
Do you?
Yeah.
You sing Christmas carols?
No, I let everybody else. I act like I'm singing them. My mouth moves.
You lip sync Christmas carols.
But nothing comes out.
There you go. That is.
They may not let me back in if I open my mouth and something actually came out.
Let me give you a tip, because I just did this last night. Recorded the Santa Open Sleigh, where it's on Wednesday night. You can get the open tram, for lack of a better term, to dress up like a sleigh, but you actually go through Speedway and Lights, not in your vehicle, but in an open sleigh with blanket. They give you blankets, keep warm. Then they'll take a picture of the event. It's really neat. So that is a memory maker to take the open sleigh. It's this year sponsored by Tri-Cities Airport. So that's something to consider. You can find it out on the website, which is now run by our good friend who runs this website, speedwayandlights.org. Get on there and check out how you can ride the open sleigh through. And as Andy alluded to, the Night of Smiles is all the fundraising all year long. And a week from tonight, Claudia will be up there passing out checks to a lot of nonprofit children's organizations that otherwise probably couldn't even stay open, keep the doors open, if it was not for Speedway Children's Charities. And
our biggest selections we've had all year. I mean, I'm just looking at here. We've got Mitsubishis and Fords and Hyundais and Mustangs and CRVs and Corollas and Camrys and Odysseys and Fusions and Tacomas and Silverados and Civics and Equinoxes and Suburbans and SRXs, Challengers, Highlanders, Camaros, XT5s, 3500 Tradesman, Dodge Ram flatbed truck, and Escalades. I mean, I've got one of everything, it seems like, in pre-owned. So big inventory of that. We've got close to 150 pre-owned vehicles. Probably 90% of the stuff we've got out there are local trade-ins. Most of them, a lot of them are one owner. The other 10% are vehicles we've either bought program cars like Impalas or one or two or Cadillacs to fill holes so we can sell certified vehicles. So, but 90% of the ones out there, which is a very rare oddity, most used car lots you go to, 50 to 60% of their inventory is program cars or bought at auctions. 90% of ours are local trade-ins. So
there you go. And so they've got I don't know if it's a glut, but they got a bunch of them, and they're not in love with any of them. They want them all to find a new home. And so, and as Chris said last week on the show, with all the different financial institutions you work with, I think he said 25 to 30.
Yep.
They can get you bought. So if you say, well, my credit's this or this is going on, or
well, we have banks. We try to have banks that work with about every kind of situation.
There you go.
I mean, there's no really such thing as guaranteed financing. I'm going to go and put that out there like you see a lot of places. It's guaranteed, but you read the fine print, if you have this, if you have this, if you have this. But we do have banks, lenders that are willing to work with people that have had recent bankruptcies, repossessions. We have something out there. We try to have different kinds of cars that'll fit different people's payment methods, and also different kinds of cars that fit people's particular needs when it comes to their credit as well. So we try to cover the full spectrum.
I want you in a minute to tell about the box over here in the lobby. This young man, we're going to start promoting that hot and heavy to help him out, and we're going to do that coming up here in just a second. But pick and panel time. Mr. Copenaver, here we go. Mr. Dietrich, pick and panel time.
Woo!
10 college football games. Here we go.
And I gave in last week so he would feel good again, because he was very depressed after 2 weeks of getting crushed.
Crushed?
Yeah.
Wow. The adjectives are good. Not just got beat, he got crushed. All right. Well, he came back with a vengeance and won this week.
Yep. Oh, I know.
So, and we played for chocolate chip cookies. I got to get him chocolate chip cookies, but he sugar-free chocolate chip cookies. Right?
Sugar-free diet.
So he gets to pick the prize this week. So you get to pick the food prize. So that's what because the winner picks so you pick M&Ms and a pumpkin pie.
Oh, that pumpkin pie was good.
So Tim, you get to pick the food prize coming up in a second. All right, here we go. Tennessee at Missouri. May I say, while he's getting deliberating, this is a very competitive thing between some of the staff members here, namely Mr. Dietrich, Mr. Copenaver. It's a lot of fun, but they take this very serious, so, or at least they appear to. So, you taking Tennessee or Missouri? Like a drum. Yeah. 45-16. I say it right? Let me see sure. Mr. Diedrich, let's see. 45-16.
And no Doohickey got fired, didn't he?
Yeah.
Last week, Doohickey.
Coach Doohickey got fired. I think you're okay this week. Coach Doohickey got fired. He hasn't picked the first one yet. Tennessee.
Well, I feel really bad picking against Tennessee.
Second one would be Michigan State at Ohio State. So.
Do I now?
I was giving him. He's already went past.
Slow down now.
Coach Doohickey.
Coach
Floyd Doohickey got canned this week. Old Floyd got sent.
I am going to pick Missouri.
Taking Missouri. All right. Michigan State at Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. All right. Our next pick and panel pick is Oklahoma State at Iowa State.
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. All right. Our next pick would be Virginia Tech at Georgia Tech.
What's Georgia Tech's record so far this year?
They're 4-4.
Virginia Tech disappointed me. Virginia Tech I picked them last week, and they had the snot beat out of them by Miami.
Look at Tim. Look. Mr. Copeman is hanging on every word over here.
I'm going to pick Virginia Tech.
Taking the Hokies. So
Pig doesn't
there's
like
another
Virginia
terminology.
Tech.
They got the snot beat out of them. So they're Pig is chiming in over here tonight. Georgia at Auburn. Who do you like there?
Georgia.
Georgia. All right. Let's see who's up next. Iowa at Wisconsin.
Is that the Badgers?
The Badgers and the Hawkeyes.
I'm going to go with the Badgers.
Going with Wisconsin. All right. Let's see. Got a couple of more here. We got Notre Dame at Miami.
I'm going to say Miami.
Okay. And we've got Texas Christian, the Horned Frogs, against the Oklahoma Sooners at Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
All right. And we got Florida at South Carolina.
I'm going to say South Carolina. Since Doohickey's not there at Florida anymore. Floyd Doohickey.
Floyd Doohickey got fired.
Yeah.
As I say back home. Farred. He got fired.
He had the snot beat out of him.
And he got the snot beat out. Last one is Washington. They play tomorrow night. Washington, let's see, they are 8-1, and Stanford is 6-3.
My golly, I got to pick Washington.
All right, there you go. So here's your chance to change. You took Missouri, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, Georgia, Wisconsin, Miami, Oklahoma.
I want to phone a friend. My friend is right there. He's really disappointed in my one pick. I want to change.
He's giving you a kind of a menacing look.
Yeah, he's like.
Which one you want to change, Pig?
Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech.
Which one, Pig? He's calling in a friend.
But are they going to really win, though? Is Georgia Tech really going to win? What's their ranking? Or what's their rating?
Georgia Tech's 4-4.
Well,
they're not even ranked.
I mean, Virginia Tech's what? 6th?
17th.
Leave it Virginia Tech.
Okay, there you go.
I know. You're
going to hear about it.
Yeah, I don't want. Yeah.
You will hear about it, my friend. Now, before we take off here, I want you to talk about how folks can buy a ticket and change your life.
Well,
with the big gala coming up on January
Suspect
27th.
in custody after standoff. Shots fired in Ridgefield's Kingsport. So it's over.
Suspect in custody?
Yep.
Had a little skirmish in Ridgefield's.
Yes. Breaking news.
Remember the guy on Hee Haw? All the news that is news? Corn Radio?
Yeah, barely.
You don't remember Hee Haw?
Yeah, I remember Hee Haw, but I never really watched Hee Haw.
All the news that is news. We got breaking news. So, Corn Radio.
Yeah, what's the lady's name that had the price tag always hanging off her hat?
That was Minnie Pearl.
Minnie Pearl.
Yeah. All right, so anyway, that one just hit with a thud. Buy a ticket and change. Look, here comes the picks. He is bringing them. Man, this guy's lost weight.
He's studied.
Goodness gracious. How much weight you lost, Chief? Man, you can tell it. For today's first day, I saw you from out behind
He
the
was
table.
outside earlier and the wind was blowing and it about ticked him off. I mean, he
seriously. He's looking
yeah,
good,
we had to go grab him.
Yeah.
We have to tie a rope around him when he walks outside so he doesn't fly off.
You say we'll start calling him Rocky.
I know, he ripped his shirt doing that the other day.
Balboa Copenhagen.
Yeah, we have to play the eye of the tiger when he walks in the dealership in the morning.
But Floyd Doohickey got fired.
Yeah. The snot beat out of him.
Snot beat out of him. Buy a ticket and change your life, cowboy.
Okay. There are 4,000 raffle tickets printed for 100% of the proceeds to go to Niswangers Children's Hospital, and the drawing will be January 27th. You do not have to be present to win. Like I said, they're $50 a piece. You can buy them online at mshafoundation.org, or you can buy them here at Champion Chevrolet here in the showroom. You can buy them in the gift shop at the Johnson City Med Center. I think they've got them in the gift shop too at Franklin Woods Hospital, their MedTech corridor. But $50 a piece. If they draw your name out on January 27th, you have your choice to pick a 2018 Chevrolet Traverse, a 2000 Chevrolet Silverado 1500, or a 2018 Cadillac ATS. So you win the grand prize. You automatically get to pick one of those three cars. It's yours forever. It's not a lease. You get to drive it home and never look back. They will do 3 other drawings right after that: a $2,500 cash prize, a $1,500 cash prize, and a $1,000 cash prize. So buy a ticket, you have 4 chances of winning something. So 1 in 4,000 shot by just buying one ticket. It's a great deal. 100% of the proceeds go to Niswangers Children's Hospital. It is a non-profit, not-for-profit hospital, so all the proceeds stay there. They do not leave the area.
There you go. And Tiffany will be with us week after next. She'll be here Thursday after Thanksgiving. So
I think we may get run over here. It's kind of dangerous.
Pink's moving in here.
Yeah. That took the door off the hinges. Well, I mean, his strength sometimes he doesn't realize.
Yeah. But as soon as Chris came down the steps, he's okay. What do you call a pig? Something for dummies? When me and Chris are on the show, what do you call it?
Segment for dummies. He's not referring to you, Tom.
He's referring to Chris. I guess. Chris takes offense to it, so he fires right back to it. So
yeah.
There's a lot of jostling going on around here, isn't there?
Oh, and
friendly jostling.
Jostling. I got to tell one. We were discussing today, like we do every day, where we're going to eat today.
Right.
And Chris goes, I think I want a salad wherever we go. he right in front of Chris, but across the desk, so Chris couldn't get to him. He said, "Oh, you're going to eat a salad," and sort of sucked up, like this, like Chris, he's like, "Oh," and making fun of. and then I get back. I ate a really late lunch today. They had already finished eating, and we still had leftover dessert from a big meal we had here on Monday. We had that chocolate sin dessert from Carrabba's, and there's still some in the refrigerator back there. And he ate his salad and ate the rest of that chocolate dessert. It's double stacked with brownies and chocolate.
It balances out, though. Salad, sweet.
Okay. So it's never a dull moment here at
Champion Chevrolet. We have a lot of fun, and Mr. Copenhagen made his. Out of fairness, I want to go ahead and put his picks out there. Tennessee, Missouri. Tim took Missouri. Ohio State, Michigan State. He took Ohio State. You took Oklahoma State. He took Iowa State. You both took Va Tech. You both took Georgia. You both took Wisconsin. He took Notre Dame. You took Miami. You both took Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Washington. So
there's 2 different.
3 different.
3 different.
So he's playing it very conservative now.
I let him have one last week. He was like almost. I wanted to get him some like a psychiatric evaluation after the beating that took place for the 2 weeks before that. And I was like, I'm gonna step back this week and pick teams that I know are gonna lose, so he can feel good about himself again.
Now he's turned it up a little bit since Tim just left, and Tim can't hear this, so he's turned it up just a smidgen there on the old busting meter. So there you go. All right, good stuff. So, one more thing too. You have one other option if you're out there watching. 20% off select 2017 Cruises, Malibus, Corvettes, Sonics, Impalas, or 0% for up to 72 months, which is 6 years, in lieu of 20%. And that is either one of those is a no-brainer.
Oh, you save thousands on either deal. And somebody's like, well, what's the big deal having either or? Let's say, for example, the 20% off is all the money off up front. You're going to get 20% off MSRP as soon as you drive it off the lot, versus 0%. It might be better for you to take the 20% off because you know in the back of your head you may only you want to keep this car for 2 years or 3 years. But if you're like some people, well, I'm going to drive this car for 6 or 7 years, it might be better to take the 0% because you know you're going to pay for it over 6 years in zero interest, and that's going to save you thousands in interest. So it's two good opportunities, two really good options, but that's the main reason. If you plan on trading a car in 1, 2, 3 years, like everybody sees something new color comes out or new body style and they want to trade, it's probably better to take the 20% off when you're leaving here versus 0 for 72. But if you plan on keeping it 5, 6, 7 years, by golly, do 0
for 6 years.
Yep,
72 months. I love it. So, and also the GM employee pricing, as he said, I didn't realize this. I thought it was an every year promotion.
Nope.
They do it. This is only the third time in 11 years. They're going to give you the same discount you would get if you're a GM employee or a Champion Chevrolet employee. So, yeah, those don't come down. I didn't realize that. 3 times in 11 years.
Yeah,
so,
I may be off one time during that, but it's not an every year occurrence.
There you go. Good stuff, my friend. Appreciate you as always. We're going to take a break, come right back, and we're going to talk Tennessee football. We'll do that with our buddy Kevin. We'll be right back after this inside the studio, inside the showroom at Champion Chevrolet, here on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show with my man Andy Dietrich, co-owner of Champion Chevrolet.
Blue Lizard Australian Sunscreen originated in Australia, where sunscreen standards are the strictest in the world. Although our products are now manufactured here in the U.S., we continue to adhere to the most stringent Australian standards to offer the best in broad-spectrum sun protection. Blue Lizard, the brand most recommended by pediatricians and dermatologists. Our smart bottle turns blue in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. You bring the sun, Blue Lizard brings the magic.
Truck Month continues at Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City with unbelievable savings on a selection of over 500 new Chevys to choose from. 17 Silverado Crew Cab All-Star, $11,000 off MSRP. 18 Equinox, $6,000 off MSRP. 18 Trax, $4,500 off MSRP. 23% off 17 Cruisin' Malibu. 25% off 17 Sonic and Spark LS. Shop us online 24/7 and remember our Saturday parts and service hours. Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, where we leave you asking, how do they do that?
Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue. Do you like pulled pork? At Phil's, the pulled pork is cooked low and slow. We cook it all night, but we serve it fast. Our pulled pork is hickory smoked, tender and juicy. We serve the pork either as a sandwich on a bun or platter style with garlic toast. And don't forget to try our pork wings. They taste like a cross between ham and our sweet ribs. It comes as a meal, as an add-on, or part of our meat sampler platters. Pulled pork and pork wings. Just 2 great reasons to stop by Phil's Dream Pit. Eastern Star exit off I-26, 349-6437. Phil's Dream Pit, the quest for perfect barbecue.
At FCA, we're touching millions one heart at a time. Since 1954, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been putting the heart and soul in sports by challenging athletes and coaches to impact the world for Jesus Christ. As the largest sports ministry in the world, FCA now reaches over 2 million people annually on the professional, college, high school, junior high, and youth levels. Through this shared passion for athletics and faith, lives are changed, one heart at a time. Learn more at fca.org.
Back on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Again, we're live here at Champion Chevrolet inside the showroom for a little while longer. And again, we told you earlier about the picking panel. Why would you not? You have until midnight tonight. There's some of the folks that have won. Not everybody. There's some of the folks. TomTaylorSports.com/football. And you heard who we said you should go with, and those are the games. Let me run them down for you again. Washington, Stanford, Michigan State, Ohio State, Oklahoma State and Iowa State. You pick those. All we want is the winners. Don't need points. Georgia at Auburn. You also have Virginia Tech at Georgia Tech. You have, you've got Notre Dame at Miami, Texas Christian at Oklahoma, Tennessee at Missouri, the obvious, and Florida at South Carolina. And I think I gave you Washington, Stanford. 10 games. It's all right there. All you do is get down there and pick them. First name, last name, email address, town you're from is all we want. We don't sell off the list or whoever's on there. We don't do that. And so Amy McDuffie from Elizabethton's the reigning champion from a week ago. So good luck tonight. You have until midnight tonight to do that. And then, of course, we'll let you know next week who wins the picking panel, and it's $25. $25 is $25. So again, that's what you can go for. Again, the picking panel here on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Quick break. We'll come right back. Run back down again all the high school games for tomorrow night. Also, we'll run down the college football games, all the conference breakdowns as well, and hopefully get a hold of Kevin Harmon and get him in here on the Tennessee-Missouri prognostication. But if not, we'll keep right on trucking, and we'll do that right after this here on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show.
At American Import and Auto Repair in Johnson City, one of the things that owner Tim Smith is most proud of is their hard-earned certifications.
We are an ASE Blue Seal shop, which is important because what it tells the customer is we care enough to get certified, not in one certain area of cars. You have to be certified in 8 different certifications, in 8 different tests you have to take, and you have to be updated on them yearly to make sure that you're up to date. We not only have one of those, we have 3 ASE Master Technicians here. With the ratio, it goes into a ratio, and we're a Blue Seal shop, so it tells you that we care about training and we care about knowing about your car. We want to help fix it right.
American Import and Auto Repair, West Market Street, Johnson City, home of the free loaner car program. Open 6 days a week. Call today, 913-3111.
Hi, I'm Rob Cole with Bays Mountain Park. There's something for everyone at Bays Mountain Park. Whether you're an outdoor enthusiast or simply looking to get away and relax, Bays Mountain Park in Kingsport, Tennessee is the perfect destination. For only $4 per vehicle, enjoy 3,500 acres of breathtaking scenery, featuring 40 miles of hiking trails, wildlife habitats, one of the Southeast's premier planetariums, and much, much more. For more information, please visit www.baysmountain.com or call us at 423-229-9447. Bays Mountain Park, one of the Tri-City's best places for learning, leisure, and recreation.
If you're catching some waves or just playing in the yard, it is important to protect yourself. You may not feel the sun's heat, but UV rays can still damage your skin even in cloudy weather. Blue Lizard Sunscreen, recommended by pharmacists and dermatologists nationwide. Our SPF 30-plus formulations use only the highest quality ingredients for broad spectrum protection. As a reminder to protect yourself, our bottle turns blue when UV light is present. Blue Lizard, we've got you covered.
Your life is always changing. You never know what shape it will take, or how your financial needs might change. But if we talk about your investments and how they can provide for you and your family, the future becomes clear. At Wells Fargo Advisors, we believe conversation leads to financial clarity. Let's start a conversation today.
We're back again on the Champion Chevrolet 5-Star Football Preview Show. Again, let's run down college football and what's going on tonight. We do have games tonight, of course, as we said. earlier in the show. We do have a 7 o'clock kickoff, Ball State at Northern Illinois. 7:30 tonight, Georgia Southern and Boone to take on the Appalachian State Mountaineers. And also at 7:30 tonight, North Carolina playing at Pitt to take on the Panthers. Again, that's an ACC matchup, obviously, of major proportions in terms of bowl games, because ACC Pitt's 4-5. They get 6 to be bowl eligible. North Carolina going nowhere fast. They can play the spoiler tonight in Pittsburgh. We'll run down the conference standings coming up here in just a second. Who will replace Jay Jacobs as Auburn's athletic director? If former coach Tommy Tuberville had his way about it, it'll be him. He has said he would like to be the new athletic director. Jay Jacobs is stepping down as of June 1st, 2018 or sooner. Lots of scandals going on in Auburn right now. They've got the basketball men's scandal, a scandal in women's softball. The son of the coach who was on the staff of the women's softball apparently is, and I don't have proof of this, but allegedly having an affair with one of the players, and that's become a big scandal at Auburn. Also, the ongoing federal probe of the men's college basketball program. So Jay Jacobs stepping away June 1st, if not sooner. Tommy Tuberville said, former coach, of course, at Auburn, would love to be the man to run that football program and athletic program, the whole athletic program at Auburn. So stay tuned for that. Could Les Miles be making the jump to the Pac-12? The former LSU coach is interested in Oregon State's vacant head coaching position. Miles fired by LSU after more than 11 seasons with the Tigers after going a 2-2 record at the beginning of last year. He has since become an analyst for Fox Sports, and so during his time at LSU, Les Miles led the Tigers to 1 national title and 2 Southeastern Conference championships, but his 114 wins and 34 loss record was not enough to save him from being let go, which, again, looking back is ridiculous, but it is that which it is. So there you go. Let's see what's going on in college football. The standings, the ACC and the Atlantic Division Conference, your top 2 teams, Clemson at 6-1, North Carolina State at 4-1. And the Coastal Division, Miami at 6-0, Virginia Tech, the Hokies, and Virginia both at 3-2, currently tied for second. Games, we told you tonight, North Carolina Pitt. On Saturday, Duke at Army, North Carolina State at Boston College, Virginia Tech at Georgia Tech, 12:20 kickoff from Atlanta, Wake Forest to be at Syracuse, Virginia at Louisville, big ball game there, I would think, for Bobby Petrino's disappointing ball club. They're only 5-4 this year. For the Cardinals, they'll play that one in Louisville. Florida State at Clemson. Can this be a trap game for Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers? A 3:30 kickoff, and then, of course, the marquee game in the conference on Saturday evening. The Miami Hurricanes, again, Miami at 8-0 and ranked in the country, of course. Miami at number 10 in the country. I'm sorry, number 7 in the country, will be playing host to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, number 3 in the country, coming up again. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Number 7, yeah. Got it. Number 7 against number 3 coming up again on Saturday evening in Miami. Big 12 Conference, your top 2 teams, Oklahoma and TCU, both at 5-1. That'll be decided coming up again on Saturday, and they play each other. Then you have Oklahoma State, Iowa State, and West Virginia tied for second, 4-2. Schedule: Texas Tech at Baylor on Saturday, Oklahoma State at Iowa State, as we mentioned. West Virginia, the Mountaineers, play at Kansas State, Kansas at Texas, and TCU at Oklahoma on Saturday evening. Big Ten Conference, Eastern Division, Michigan State 5-1, Ohio State 5-1, and then right behind them tied for second, Michigan and Penn State at 4-2. In the Western Division, Wisconsin at 6-0, and in second, Northwestern, the Wildcats at 4-2. The Big Ten Conference this week, Indiana at Illinois, Nebraska at Minnesota, Rutgers at Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State, that's a biggie, Michigan at Maryland, Iowa at Wisconsin, that's the other biggie, and Purdue at Northwestern at 7 o'clock at Northwestern on Saturday evening. Southeastern Conference in the West, Alabama at 6-0, Auburn at 5-1. In the East, Georgia at 6-0, and then in second place, South Carolina at 4-3. Your schedule there this week: Florida at South Carolina, Louisiana at Mississippi, Arkansas at LSU, Georgia at Auburn. That could be a trap game for the Bulldogs. Kentucky at Vanderbilt. That should be a pretty good football game. 4 o'clock kick in Nashville. New Mexico at Texas A&M. Aggies win this one, will be bowl eligible. It'll be Alabama, Mississippi State, and Tennessee, a 7:30 kickoff on Saturday evening in Missouri. Southern Conference, Wofford at number 1, Western Carolina at 5-2, and again the schedule there on Saturday: Wofford at VMI, Mercer, Western Carolina, the Citadel at Furman, and East Tennessee State, as Joe Vento said earlier on the show, playing at Sanford on a 3 o'clock kick from Alabama. Top 25 college football, here we go one more time for you. We'll do it again tomorrow as well. 19th ranked Washington State plays at Stanford tomorrow night. On Saturday, 13th ranked Michigan State will travel to Columbus at the Shoe and play Ohio State, 7-2 and 7-2, 12 o'clock kickoff. You have 16th ranked Penn State hosting Rutgers on Saturday. 12th ranked Oklahoma State at 7-2. At 24th ranked Iowa State, the Cyclones at 6-3. Also top 25 play. 14th ranked Central Florida hosting UConn. You have 19th ranked LSU, and that is incorrect. They've fallen out of the polls, but LSU and Arkansas on Saturday. You have 17th ranked Virginia Tech will be at Georgia Tech. Hokies at 7-2. Yellow Jackets at 4-4. You have 2nd ranked Georgia again taking on 10th ranked Auburn. 9-0 Bulldogs, 7-2 Auburn. 3:30 kickoff from Auburn on CBS. Also, you have the 4th ranked Clemson Tigers playing host to Florida State. That is a 3:30 kick from Clemson. 25th ranked Iowa will be at number 6 Wisconsin at 3:30 on Saturday. 15th ranked Southern Cal will be at Colorado. The Trojans at 8-2. The Golden Buffaloes at 5-5. 19th ranked Washington State plays at Utah. Top ranked Alabama will be at number 18 Mississippi State. 3rd ranked Notre Dame at number 7 Miami. 8th ranked TCU, the Horned Frogs, will be at number 5 Oklahoma. And then also coming up on Saturday night, that will be it. And of course, the other game of interest here would be Tennessee at Missouri. Let's run down the high school games for you tomorrow night involving our local teams before we get out of here. In the first, I should say in 5A football, you have Knox Central at Sevier County and also South Doyle at Knox Halls. In 4A football, Greenville hosting Chattanooga Central. The Elizabethton Cyclones traveling to Anderson County. We'll talk to Sean Witten tomorrow on the Tom Taylor Sports Show. That's the upper bracket in 4A. In 1A, Coalfield traveling to Cloudland. Oliver Springs go to Greenback in 1A football tomorrow night. In 2A football, Sullivan North, the Golden Raiders in Kingsport hosting Rockwood. Happy Valley travels to Meigs County in 2A football from our neck of the woods. And in 3A football, Johnson County, the Longhorns up on the mountain tomorrow night. We're talking down to the 30s tomorrow evening. Hey, it's November. We're supposed to be getting cold. Hosting Austin East, and then also Alcoa home to Kingston. And that's the upper part of the bracket in 2A football. Again, the winners move on. Losers are eliminated for 2017. So we are out of time. We sincerely thank you for yours. Again, our guests tonight have been our buddy Dave Onge talking high school football previews. Joe Avento previewing the East Tennessee State Sanford football game. Chris McCall previewing the Virginia Tech Georgia Tech game on Saturday in Atlanta. Also Carmichael with the top 5 college football games of the week. And of course, from the family here at Champion Chevrolet, co-owner Andy Dietrich. And of course, we appreciate him. And of course, Chris McCall, the finance manager, doing the Hokie update and preview every week. So we're out of time. We sincerely thank you for yours. Back in the saddle tomorrow at 11 o'clock for the Tom Taylor Sports Show. Until then, for Andy Dietrich, also for Tim Copenhagen and all the staff here at Champion Chevrolet, the number 1 Chevy dealer in the state. Until we greet you tomorrow at 11 o'clock, we will tell you as always, win or lose, be a good sport. Please like this show and share it. Again, it'll be up there archived. You can go back and watch it anytime you want. And so like it and share it, please, to your friends and neighbors, and we'll say thank you ahead of time for that. Hey, we'll check you tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Until then, have a great Thursday evening, and so long, everybody.